Please hold your applause and refrain from interrupting the program. For everyone's safety, we also ask that you are aware of 2 emergency exits on both sides of the Great Hall. Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie na uroczystych obchodach Dnia Kazimierza Pulaskiego. Prosimy o wyłączenie Państwa telefonów komórkowych, a także o to, żebyście byli Państwo świadomi, że po 2 stronach tej sali znajdują się wyjścia bezpieczeństwa. To all our guests, I welcome you to the Polish Museum of America and to the official State of Illinois celebration of Kazimierz Pulaski Day. On behalf of everyone at the Polish Museum, we are grateful that you could join us today. A day honoring the man known as hero of 2 countries. Pulaski Days is only one of many annual events hosted at the Polish Museum of America. I hope you can join us for more events, including our upcoming major fundraiser, Summer Gala. In the 80 years since the founding of the Polish Museum of America, we have seen many Polish-American organizations that they formed their roots at the Polish Museum. Although they have grown independent, we encourage these organizations to continue support of the Polish Museum. In this great hall alone, you are surrounded by Polish history. Please pick a beautiful item, adopt it, feel at home, and feel that this museum is also your private heritage museum. Today we acknowledge the short but rich life of the man known as the hero of 2 countries. Kazimierz Pulaski came to America to secure a better future, fighting for the independence of an emerging nation, which did not want to be subject of colonial oppression. He was not able to win this freedom in his homeland, in Poland, but his ideas remain relevant here in America. When we consider the accomplishments of our great countryman, Pulaski's word in letter written to George Washington still ring true. I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it, and to live or die for it. In his actions, Pulaski was true to these words. If it were not for the tragedy of Battle of Savannah, right there on our beautiful painting, Pulaski likely would have done more for the struggle for independence of the United States. I hope that today's celebrations have a similar effect of Polish-American community. This year is very important for the Polish Museum of America. The museum observes 80th anniversary of the opening. We invite you to join us and to join us during our Jubilee year, to become member and to support us. I hope that everyone enjoys today's program and will reflect not only on the heroic life of General Kazimierz Pulaski, but also great calls like Tadeusz Kościuszko, that year of Tadeusz Kościuszko we are observing this year. Szanowni Państwo, nie może zabraknąć języka polskiego. Jest to bardzo ważne dla nas, że praktycznie wszyscy wy, którzy jesteście tutaj zgromadzeni, znacie muzeum, przychodzicie do nas. Dziękujemy Wam za to, że wspieracie muzeum w każdym możliwym sposobie. I prosimy o to, ażebyście byli z nami szczególnie blisko. W tym roku jubileuszowym, kiedy muzeum świętuje 80-lecie swojego otwarcia. O to prosimy w imieniu zarządu, pracowników, wolontariuszy i wszystkich członków Muzeum Polskiego. Serdecznie dziękuję. And right now, we have a moment of singing our beautiful national anthems. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthems of the United States and Poland will be performed by Mirosława Sojka-Topol, a great soprano born in Polish Tatra Mountains and being with us not only today but during the year. And as well, Marta Pasek, the pianist, is a talented pianist. Recently she came from Poland. She is a PhD graduate of the Music Academy of Krakow. Ladies and gentlemen, do hymnu. We welcome His Excellency Bishop Andrzej Peter Wytych, Auxiliary Bishop of the Diocese of Chicago. Your Excellency.
Thank you. I pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O Lord, our God, you alone are the most holy. We forever offer our prayers and always give you praise and glory. We adore you. We give you thanks for your gift of love to us, your children, as expressed in Jesus the Christ, the Anointed One. We come together on this General Casimir Pulaski Day to remember and honor him and the people of the past who added to the common good of our society. We remember General Pulaski for his heroic stand for human freedom and liberty in both Poland and in the American colonies, even to his death. We learn from his example and others like him that freedom is the most precious and worth even the ultimate sacrifice. Be present among us, O Lord, this day and install in us the zeal to follow you as we work for the good of our country and our society. Soften our hearts and give us ears to hear the call to protect freedom, beginning with the freedom of our conscience and our beliefs, so we may freely express ourselves in your divine presence. We know that only through the work we do together, with the example of General Pulaski and people of goodwill, we may build a better place for ourselves and the generations to come. Wszechmogący wieczny Boże, tylko Ty jesteś święty. Wysławiamy Cię, ponieważ jesteś naszym Stwórcą, a my jesteśmy Twoimi stworzeniami. Uwielbiamy Cię, Boże. Ty pokazałeś swoją miłość do nas przez Jezusa Chrystusa, przez którego uczyniłeś nas swoimi umiłowanymi dziećmi. Dziękujemy Ci za Twoją miłość. W tym dniu pamięci o generale Kazimierzu Puławskim stajemy razem, aby uczcić pamięć i okazać swą wdzięczność tym, którzy swą postawą wpisali się w historię Polski i Stanów Zjednoczonych Ameryki Północnej. Tych, którzy zmieniali ówczesną rzeczywistość dla wspólnego dobra społeczeństwa przyszłości, dla wszystkich nas współcześnie żyjących. Dziś szczególnie wspominamy bohaterską postawę generała Puławskiego w walce o wolność ludzi, jego przelaną krew i śmierć, którą poniósł w walce o tę wolność. Chcemy, aby chwalebny przykład tegoż ojca amerykańskiej kawalerii oraz przykład wielu innych bohaterów jemu podobnych był dla nas lekcją przyswajania sobie prawdy, iż wolność osoby ludzkiej, tak drogocenna w swojej istocie, warta jest poświęcenia swojego życia w jej obronie. Bądź z nami, o Panie, tego poranka i pomóż nam, abyśmy ochotnie naśladowali te dobre przykłady ludzi, którzy oddając swoje życie za wolność innych ludzi, są dla nas drogowskazem w czynieniu dobra dla naszego kraju i naszej rodziny ludzkiej. Zmienić nasze serca i otwórz nasze uszy, abyśmy byli wrażliwi na wołanie z głębi naszej woli, dostawania w obronie wolności, poczynając od wolności sumienia, aż do wolności wyrażania swego człowieczeństwa w Twojej Bożej obecności przed Twoim świętym majestatem. Mamy świadomość tego, że jedynie dzięki współpracy, w jedności z mocą Ducha Świętego jesteśmy w stanie podążać drogą, którą przed nami wyznaczali swą heroiczną postawą ludzie, tacy jak sam generał Kazimierz Puławski. Pozwól nam, Boże, budować lepszy świat dla nas samych i przyszłych pokoleń, wykorzystując heroiczne cnoty naszych narodowych bohaterów. Proszę o to przez Chrystusa Pana naszego. And please do remember the Catholic League of Religious Assistance to Poland. Proszę, abyście interesowali się Catholic League, Katolicką Ligą Pomocy Polsce, jak również Polonii. To was a must advertisement that I made.
Bóg zapłać za eminencję. Thank you, His Excellency. Car, Grey Honda Civic, L20-2251, Szara Honda Civic. We are blocking very important passage. L20-2251. Prosimy o zabranie samochodu. I now introduce Jan Lowish, PMA historian, an expert in all things about Polonia, Director Emeritus of the Polish Museum. Pan Jan Lowish, historyk Muzeum Polskiego.
Dzień dobry. When Nobel Prize for Peace winner Lech Wałęsa came to the United States in the heady days at the end of the Cold War, he remarked that Poland had sent two generals, Pulaski and Kościuszko to help in the winning of the Revolutionary War. In return, he asked that America send Poland two generals, General Motors and General Electric, to help in the economic recovery of Poland. While the story might be anecdotal, we should remember that in addition to Pulaski, whom we have been honoring in Illinois since 1986, when Illinois Governor James Thompson, a Republican, and Chicago Mayor Harold Washington, a Democrat, honored Brigadier General Pulaski at the State of Illinois building. The following year, the celebration was moved to this location, and we mark our 30th year during the PMA's 80th anniversary year. Poland also sent General Tadeusz Kościuszko. 2017 is a special year since it marks the 200th anniversary of the death of the surviving General Tadeusz Kościuszko in Switzerland. Poland and UNESCO have both proclaimed this year as the year of Kościuszko. In a sense, Kościuszko, because his life was not cut short during the Revolutionary War, had a longer time to establish his record as a warrior, but also as a fighter for justice and human rights. We can only surmise what Pulaski might have done had he lived. The arcs of both men were shaped by the history of Poland in the mid-1700s. After the first partition in 1772, both men found an intolerable situation in Poland. Pulaski, defeated by superior forces, found himself in exile first in Turkey, then in France. Kościuszko, a professional military engineer, found that there was no room for him in the much-reduced Polish army. Like immigrants before and since, they found their salvation in the New World. Like immigrants before and since, one stayed and became a citizen, though he had to wait more than 200 years after his death. The other returned to his homeland, but taking the experiences of his American stay with him, he tried to improve his country's situation. Like most good immigrants, they learned English and adapted the mores and customs of the people that they were living amongst. They were also proud of the traditions and factors that made them the people they were when they arrived here. Let us honor both men. Let us be open to those immigrants who come here seeking to be productive members of this country, and let us work for the ideals that make this country the beacon of the world. Thank you. Since the bishop was also doing a plug, we have in our gift shop, we have the letters of Kościuszko written in English during the Revolutionary War down in the gift shop. And also Mr. Chet Schaefer, a longtime supporter of the museum, has music from the period of Pulaski, Kościuszko, and Paderewski, which he is selling in the hallway. So please support him also. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Rose, dziękuję serdecznie. And please let me introduce today's Masters of Ceremony. Joseph A. Drobek Jr., National President of the Polish Roman Catholic Union of America and Chairman of the Board of the Polish Museum of America.
Good morning, everyone. Believe it or not, today is actually the anniversary of Kazimierz Pulaski's birthday. 270 years ago, he was born in Poland and rose to the rank of the Brigadier General of the United States Cavalry. Some of the issues that he introduced to the cavalry continued to be used by the United States Army through the Indian Wars of the 1870s, 1880s. So it was what he did in terms of forming the cavalry. The United States of America continued their fight for freedom. I think that because as I was sitting here listening to all of you sing the national anthems so well, so religiously, I think that we should all rise and sing Stolat in honor of the anniversary of Kazimierz Pulaski's birthday. All good cheer, may you live 100 years. Good health, good cheer, may you live 100 years. Welcome everyone to this repository of the past that we study and learn in the present so that it can benefit the future. Please come again to the Polish Museum of America at your leisure and enjoy the exhibits and the history that we have. I would like to call on my co-chairman now, Mr. Rich Oshana, President of the Polish Museum of America.
Za Waszą i Naszą Wolność, for your freedom and ours. That rallying slogan has been the calling of Poles to aid the cause of freedom for centuries. General Pulaski, like General Kościuszko, brought to our shores a spirit, a daring, a dedication, and a fervor for freedom, which inspired the entire command of General George Washington's revolutionary forces. Pulaski belongs to the select group of heroes that includes Lafayette, Payne, Garibaldi, and Kościuszko, who opposed tyranny not only in their homelands, but wherever they lent their talents. The heritage that General Pulaski left to the Americans was a noble one. His legion earned Washington's approval and was a model for the formation of others in subsequent campaigns. The cavalry Pulaski organized became the nucleus for future squadrons, and thus earning Pulaski the title Father of American Cavalry. The tragic death of this Polish and American hero has not erased his deeds from the memory of future generations, either in the Old World and the New. There's hardly a state in the Union that does not have a county, or a town, a street, or a highway, a park, or a school, or a monument named in grateful memory to General Casimir Pulaski. May the magnificent spirit of General Casimir Pulaski continue to inspire all Americans with a sense of duty to country, pride, a spirit of mission, and the never-ending struggle for human dignity and freedom. In such a manner, we Americans could honor this soldier of liberty, this undaunted warrior who sacrificed his life in the cause of American independence. On behalf of the officers, board of directors, members, and staff, I welcome you to the Polish Museum of America to commemorate and pay tribute to the life and the heroic deeds of General Casimir Pulaski. It is fitting that we begin our program of speakers with the Consul General of the Republic of Poland, Piotr Janicki.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's always a pleasure to be here. As I was getting ready to speak here for the first time since I've arrived, on the day of Kazimierz Pulaski, I asked myself, should I talk about the past or should I talk about the future? And I was very hesitant, but I decided to do both. And I was wondering if this hero, whose picture is right behind me, who died at the age of 34, would he be able to come to the United States today? Well, probably not, because he would have to apply for a visa. And he would have to disclose everything he did in Poland. Historians say that he even tried to assassinate the king of Poland. And he was a rebel. He fought Russians. When he fought for Poland and Lithuania's Commonwealth, he wanted to defeat the Russians because they were the dominant force back then. He was not successful. But then Benjamin Franklin asked him to come to the United States, and he came. He did not ask Brits for permission. He just jumped on a boat, and he came. He didn't have to answer all the questions in the questionnaire. He didn't have to disclose anything. He just wanted to fight for Americans' freedom, and he came. So, having all these distinguished guests here, lawmakers, senators, congressmen, and even governor, I'm calling to drop visas for Poland. This is very important. If it hadn't been for this man, right behind me, President Washington would not be elected because he would die. He would not save his life. If it hadn't been for this man, there would be no Barack Obama, there would be no Donald Trump. The head of the state would be Queen Elizabeth II. So I never thought I would say that out loud, because Americans are very proud. But I'm asking you to follow the lead of Canadians who dropped the visas for Poland over 8 years ago. It's about time. So I repeat one more time. Drop visas for Poland.
Thank you, Council General. And there was a news item over the weekend where the European Union is taking a stand and requiring or threatening to require the United States of American citizens to have a visa in order to visit Europe. And if that threat were to continue, we would all be in line for visas to visit Poland, to visit Germany, to visit any of the European nations. So there is some political pressure being put on overseas to the United States to do the right thing. We talked about the state of Illinois, and the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago granting some 30 years ago the honoring of the citizenship of Pulaski and making it an official state holiday. To represent the state of Illinois this morning, I'm very pleased to introduce our governor, Mr. Romer.
Grand opening. Happy Pulaski Day. Happy Pulaski Day. Today, we celebrate a true American hero. Today, we celebrate freedom. We celebrate independence. We celebrate democracy. We celebrate Polonia, one of the greatest, most vibrant communities anywhere in the United States of America, here in the wonderful state of Illinois. Today, we also celebrate our men and women in uniform, those who fought to protect freedom and democracy, who fought for the people of Poland. God bless you. Thank you for your service. General Pulaski was not born in the United States, but he was a true American hero. He fought and died for freedom, for a better future for all Americans. America is the greatest nation on earth because we believe in freedom, we believe in democracy, and we are a nation of immigrants. We are all from somewhere else, and we are here for the American dream so our children and our grandchildren can have a better life. And I strongly agree with the Consul General, we should eliminate visas between the United States and the people of Poland. These visas should go away. As governor, it's an honor for me to work for Polonia, to work for the Polish American community here in Chicago and across the great state of Illinois. The people of Poland, the people of Polish American descent believe in all the values that make America the greatest nation on earth. Faith, family, hard work, giving back in our community, making our community better. One of the first nations I look forward to traveling to, once I begin to travel outside the United States, is to the nation of Poland. The friendship between the people of Illinois and the people of Poland is one of the most important friendships and most important partnerships there is. And I want to expand trade and investment and tourism and immigration between Illinois and the people of Poland. Today we celebrate a true American hero. Today we celebrate the values that we all share: freedom, independence, democracy, a better future for our children and our grandchildren, for opportunity for everyone. We celebrate the friendship between the people of Poland and the people of Illinois. God bless you. Dziękuję. We'll see you next week.
As you can see today, the Polish community has many friends, And one of our closest friends is our next speaker. I'd like to introduce U.S. Senator Richard Durbin.
Dear Governor, it is such an honor to be back. It's been a couple of years, but I wanted to be here today to celebrate Pulaski Day with my friends in the Polish-American community and so many others in elected office. You know, we fight like cats and dogs once we leave, but when we come into this hall this day, we stand together. We stand together in tribute to Kessler Pulaski. I need not recount his story, you know it by heart. And I think as I sit here each time about that spectacular portrait behind us, which depicts his battle on behalf of the United States and how much it meant to us. But if all we reflected on is what happened over 2 centuries ago, it's not enough. What's important for us to think about is the lesson of Pulaski today. And there's a very clear lesson. Pulaski was here in America when we needed him. He risked and gave his life for us. And that is why he's honored with this day. And that is why we gather. But there was a moment in history that some of you remember very, very well when Poland needed the United States. It was after World War II. And what Poland went through in World War II was almost impossible to describe. Just 3 weeks ago, I was in Warsaw, visiting with the leaders of the Polish government, the parliament. But I had an extra hour on a Sunday afternoon, and I visited the Museum of the Warsaw Uprising. Some of you have seen this. It is a heartbreaking story of the people of Poland fighting the occupation of the German Nazis and the devastation that took place. If you walk through the old Warsaw ghetto, in the old part of Warsaw, there are churches, and one of them is a Dominican church, and I went in that church on Sunday. And Bishop, in that Dominican church, they used the basement as a hospital during World War II. When the uprising began, the Nazis turned on that church. They killed the doctors and nurses, and then they blew up the church with 500 people in its basement. They are still entombed there to this day. The Warsaw Uprising, the Holocaust, all of the things that Poland experienced. Before the uprising, the population of Warsaw was estimated to be almost 2 million people. At the end of the uprising, it was estimated to be fewer than 2,000. That was the devastation that Poland felt. And they left that devastation to fall under the influence and power of Moscow as the Soviets moved in. We know what they did in Poland, don't we, as they did in Lithuania. They suppressed the Catholic Church. They made it difficult for people to practice their religion. They challenged their freedoms. And the people of Poland and their friends here in Chicago and Illinois wondered, will it ever end? Can Poland ever be truly independent again? And through the courage and determination of the Polish people, that day came. But it wasn't enough. Poland knew, as strong as it was, as courageous as the people were, they needed allies and friends. And that was the moment in history when the United States returned the Kashmir-Pulaski favor. We said to Poland, we will stand by your side. You will be part of our alliance. You will be part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That day was significant. Some of you may know the story, I'll make it quick. But I went to a ceremony when Poland officially became part of NATO, and the Polish government presented to me and 7 other members of Congress a Polish cavalry sword. Well, that cavalry sword is on display here in this museum, right where it belongs, because I don't want to be near it. I'm sure I couldn't handle it. But that alliance between NATO, its members, Poland, and the United States closes the loop of what Pulaski brought to this country and sacrificed his life for. When I went back to Poland 3 weeks ago and met with the leaders of the government, they were asking a basic question of the United States of America. Are you still there? Are you still our friends? Does NATO mean anything today? Why are they asking that question? Because politicians at the highest level of this country have raised questions about the future of NATO. And some of the same politicians have started embracing Vladimir Putin. Excuse me, son of a Lithuanian immigrant myself, I will not be embracing Vladimir Putin as a superhero, and neither will the people of Poland. They know, and you know, what is going on in Kaliningrad, where Vladimir Putin is putting missiles to threaten the security and sovereignty of Poland. They know what the military exercise Zabat is all about. This September, just a few months from now, Vladimir Putin will put 100,000 Russian soldiers in a mission and exercise in Belarus. Belarus, we know the geography, don't we? Belarus shares a border with Lithuania. Belarus shares a border with Poland. And Belarus shares a border with Ukraine. And there will be 100,000 Russian troops in military exercise. Thank goodness there is a NATO alliance that will stand there ready if Vladimir Putin crosses the line. And part of that alliance in Poland, I wanted to tell the governor before he left, and I know he knows this, the Illinois National Guard is the partner of the Polish Army. Our National Guard, right here in our state of Illinois, as it should be. And they will be standing ready. And so, my friends, my message to you is simple. We honor Pulaski. We thank him for what he brought to America. But we honor him by showing him what we think today of our friends in Poland. That we are willing to stand by them at this moment. That many of us do not accept Vladimir Putin as a superhero and someone who should be embraced. We watch him carefully. We know history. And we understand that with the strong alliance of the United States and Poland through NATO, Polish independence and freedom will live for centuries to come. Dzień dobry. Thank you so much, Dobrze, for allowing me to come join you today.
Thank you, Senator, for those strong words of assurance that the borders of Poland will be protected through the Association of the United States and NATO. Thank you so much. It means an awful lot to us. I'd like to call now another friend of the Polish Museum of America, another representative from the House of Representatives of the United States of America. I would like to ask Representative Janice Szarkowski to please honor us with a few words.
Thank you. It's 30 years since the state of Illinois has created Casimir Pulaski Day as a holiday, a state holiday. And today we recognize the enormous contributions of General Pulaski, a Polish immigrant who fought for American independence and gave his life for his adopted country. You do know the story, and as the Consul General pointed out, George Washington's life was actually saved in the Battle of Brandywine in 1777 by Casimir Pulaski, so he made sure that our country could get off on the right foot. And despite the fact that General Pulaski lost his life fighting for America's independence 238 years ago, there are at least three connections we can make with that history and the world of today. One, he was an immigrant, and I'm sure he didn't have any documents from any country when he came to the United States. Of course, he was invited by Benjamin Franklin to come. And the circumstances today are that there's a lot of fear in the community. There's a lot of fear when planes land at O'Hare. There's questions about visas. And what Casimir Pulaski came with, his quote is on the back of on the front of the program that we all have. This is what he came with. I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it and the lives excuse me, and live or die for freedom. And of course, we know that he died. He didn't come because he wanted to take advantage of the United States when it became formed. He came to fight for freedom. And I know that there is this fear that is going on, and I am concerned and want to tell you that I have been a sponsor of the visa waiver program, and I will continue to fight for it. So, number two, President Pulaski fought on behalf of the United States, risking and ultimately sacrificing his life, and Poland has been an ally of the United States in the fight against terrorism and has made many sacrifices and has experienced loss of life in the process. We are all grateful for that partnership. And three, Casimir Pulaski fought Russian aggression. Sound familiar? Senator Durbin has talked about that. The United States must stand firm with our NATO ally Poland in the face of today's aggression from Russia. In the last days of the Obama administration, the U.S. sent additional forces into Poland and the Baltic states to counter the Russian threat, and we are committed to standing firm along the border. And I will be working with my colleagues in Congress on both sides of the aisle to hold the Trump administration accountable and ensure that the U.S. stands with its true allies. General Pulaski was one of the first Polish Americans. The generations that have followed have continued to contribute to our rich history and culture. Chicago has especially benefited from the Polish Americans who followed in Pulaski's footsteps. You know, the president in his speech last week said that he wanted to change the immigration system to a merit-based immigration system, which I take to mean that you have to come with enough money and enough education and degrees in order to qualify to come here. I want to tell you that my ancestors would not, actually my parents, would not have made the cut. They came fleeing Russian pogroms. They were actually in Ukraine and came to the United States with not a penny in their pocket in order to make their home here and to make a life. And my grandfather, selling fruits and vegetables along the alleys of Humboldt Park, sent 4 children to college here in the United States. That's what immigrants do. They come here to work hard to make a life. And so we want to keep our doors open to those people who come here for legitimate purposes, for a better life for their children. I just want to tell you, last year I had the pleasure of visiting Wrocław. Not easy to say. It's a wonderful city, hard to pronounce. To speak at the Atlantic Council's annual global forum. There it was an honor for me to meet with our ambassador to Poland, Paul Jones, as well as major Polish officials. And on this Casimir Pulaski Day, I commit to strengthening the relationship between the United States and Poland as we celebrate our vibrant Polish-American community here in Chicago. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Congressman Pulaski. You know, the Polish Museum of America relies on its congressional delegation to assist us in various aspects. And Congressman Pulaski is one of those representatives, and our next speaker is also very supportive and always there when the museum calls upon him. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Michael Quigley.
Well, Governor, a couple of you have noticed this. I'll try to work without it. It's a little arm sling. They asked me, what did the other guy look like? And I said, bigger. Our thoughts today are with an American and Polish hero. Our thoughts today are with our extraordinary Polish community. Chicago, as you know, is the largest Polish population anywhere in the world outside of Warsaw. And we appreciate the extraordinary contributions of the Polish people. I really have 2 thoughts today beyond that. The first is, as the original sponsor and author of visa waiver legislation, I am heartened by something. We are often asked, can we work with the President of the United States? Can we find common ground? And apparently, we can't. Because I'm reminded this morning that the President of the United States promised before this community, if you remember, in the election, that we would get rid of visa waiver. We would have visa waiver given. You recall this, right? I would be honored to work with the President of the United States to get this legislation finally passed. My second thought is, having been to Poland a couple times, and in the last 6 months, been to Lithuania, Latvia, Georgia, and Ukraine. The last time the senator would have been in Ukraine. I'm reminded of the alliance that he talks about that is absolutely so important. Jan Schakowsky mentioned as well. Because when you're there, it's real. It is no longer a theoretical exercise of wondering what happens with Russian aggression in Eastern Europe. Because there, not only do the people talk about this, the people of Georgia, for example, live it. We were there watching the Russians move the fences literally overnight. This isn't theoretical anymore. And you all know if it can happen there, it can happen elsewhere. It can happen in the Baltics. Or, as we've seen, they can occupy Crimea. They can have military engagements on an ongoing basis in the East. This is a war that's taking place. It is a continuation of the conflict that the Polish people have faced from General Pulaski back when the Russians were being aggressive to today. So NATO is important. It is not obsolete. Our job is to make sure that we support our friends and recognize the incredibly important fact that we all stand together or we are torn apart separately. I stand with that alliance and I stand with the Polish people. Thank you so much. God bless and have a great day.
Without further ado, I would like to introduce a good friend of mine, President of the Polish American Congress and President of the Polish National Alliance of America, Mr. Frank Spula.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dzień dobry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be here this morning as we celebrate Pulaski Day in this beautiful edifice, the Polish Museum. And I have to say thank you to them for continuing that we have these events hosted every year for Pulaski. It's thanks to them ever since Pulaski Day was actually started. Back in 1977, Pulaski Day was first introduced in our state as a national holiday. And it's thanks to some people in this room that this event is actually taking place, or that we actually celebrate Pulaski Day. And and I'm looking at the veterans in front here, and some of them are Polish veterans, and I know that they were also involved in having Pulaski Day initiated. And we have with us a gentleman who's going to be celebrating his 100th birthday this coming year, Mr. Pulaski. Dziękuję. We pay tribute. We've heard so much about Kazimierz Pulaski even this morning. He traveled thousands of miles to come to this country to defend freedom. And we really have to acknowledge that it was for freedom and democracy, that from Poland, a young man coming here to fight for what? Our country, North America at that time. This room is filled with individuals with multiple cultures and ethnicities. However, we share one thing in common, and that's liberty. And again, it comes back to Kazimierz Pulaski. It's what he represented. His statement to George General Washington, I came here, and it's almost a hackneyed statement here this morning, where freedom is being defended, to serve and to live or die for it. It's embellished in the minds of so many, especially the Poles. But it's also important that Americans know this as well. Because how would our country be different had it not been for him? We can learn so much from his dedication, commitment to freedom, and heroism as a foreigner coming to this country. We're fortunate to have people like Kazimierz Pulaski fighting during the Revolutionary War and a lot of time of uncertainties. But again, it comes back. How would our country be different today? As a community, as a Polish American, I'm really proud to have Kazimierz Pulaski being recognized in our history by various communities, including the presidents of the United States by issuing proclamations over many years. As a group, as a community, we're very fortunate to be living in a country that really practices a democratic form of government. We are not worried about bombs falling on our heads like they are in other parts of the world. We've heard so many interesting facts about General Pulaski, which only contributes to the pride of our Polish American community and the citizens of Poland. Kazimierz Pulaski is remembered in a multitude of ways. He's remembered as a man who fought for freedom on two continents, given in Poland or in Europe, the soldier of liberty. In this country, we have numerous bridges, streets and towns that carry his name and only add to our credibility as a Polish community. Kazimierz Pulaski is certainly a man within history. Looking at his life in our country, one can only be awed by his commitment to serve this country. Thousands of miles away, traveling over the Atlantic, and obviously, as we've heard from the Consul General, he didn't get a visa because visas didn't exist at that time. And I'm certain at that point in time, based on his past history, he'd never in the world pass through security or get a visa. So I agree with the Senator, I agree with Congressman Chinowski, Congressman Quigley, that it's about time that Poland get that visa waived. Every administration thus far has said, we're going to take care of it, we'll take care of it during our administration. And you know something? It's been since 2004, I know we've been very aggressive on this battle, and we're still in the same position as we were. So we need to unite as a community and make sure that our representatives really fight for us. You know, freedom should never be taken for granted. It comes with a high price in terms of money, destruction, and oftentimes lives. In the next few weeks, we're going to have elections in our local municipalities, in our communities. We need to be engaged as a community by serving on school boards, community councils, and hearing our voices heard. We need to ask the candidates that are aspiring for office, what do they represent? How do they look at the issues of schooling, taxation, pension reforms? The list is infinite, but we need to get involved. And most importantly, what do we have to do? Vote. We have to vote and have our voices heard. Like Pulaski gave his life for freedom, we can't take our freedom for granted. Let's make sure that never happens again. We owe our thanks to the men and gratitude. We owe our thanks and gratitude to the men and women that serve in our armed forces each day and defend our country, and also our police officers who really have a difficult job ahead of them. Really do. We need to respect them and give thanks to them and protect us. I'd like to say thank you very much for your time this morning, and let's make sure that the legacy of Pulaski is alive for generations to come. Dziękuję.
Thank you, Mr. Sula. Yeah, our next speaker, ever since she has been elevated to her current position, has always made a point of coming to Pulaski Day. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Cook County Board, Tony Peckercombe.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to join the Polish community in this celebration of Kazimierz Pulaski Day. I'm a history teacher by profession, and so I really think it's important to remember the lessons of history. Kazimierz Pulaski was an American hero. He was the father of the American cavalry. He gave his life to the fledgling American cause during the siege of Savannah. He was a nobleman, a privileged person who left his own country to join the fight for freedom in a foreign land. But remembering the lessons of his life is not simply thinking of military history. This day allows us to mark the integration of the Polish community into the great American melting pot. So we should use this opportunity to engage in the national conversation surrounding immigration. Except for Native Americans, all of our ancestors came here from other places. and history has shown that many of them did not find immediate acceptance upon their arrival on our shores. My own ancestors spent 250 years in slavery in this country. I dare say that many of yours fled poverty and oppression, religious persecution, political persecution, dressed differently, or spoke an unfamiliar language. A nation whose strength lies in its diversity should welcome the stranger, no matter their land of origin, their religion, or their skin color. But that's not what's happening today. We're seeing that entire communities are being demonized, detained, apprehended, and deported. This is not America. It's important that we use opportunities, such as Pulaski Day, to remind ourselves that America is a nation of immigrants, a land of freedom and promise and opportunity. Casimir Pulaski came to the fledgling United States to throw off the yoke of oppression. We should all remember what he did and apply those same lessons to the present day by welcoming the stranger and sharing the promise of America. Thank you.
Thank you, President Franklin. Our next speaker is somebody that's very close to the Polish Museum of America. Whenever we call and ask for help, she's always there. And on top of that, she's also a member of the Polish Museum of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Cook County Treasurer Maria Pettis.
I love to come here. I actually feel like I'm at home and I see my parents amongst me. So this is a 20-year history. I've been coming here for 20 years. And for 20 years, in the back of the room, stood a lady, much like Pulaski, who represented all of Polonia. My dear and close friend, Kasia Bober. Who represented what really matters to every ethnic immigrant and everyone in this room. Her family, Poland, America, her work, and her church. Like so many in this room. In June, I lost Kasia. It's very, very difficult for me. I used to go to the deli, and we used to sit and talk and laugh and joke, and then in July, I lost my dad. And in August, I simply couldn't get out from under crying. I would go to work and I would cry. I would walk around the store and I would cry. I would talk to my friends and I would cry. And I said to my husband, I said, I need to stop crying. So I'm going to go to Greece. And I went to Greece and I climbed to the top of a mountain. And I found a monk. And I said, Father, I'm sorry. I've lost a very good Polish friend and I've lost my dad. And I don't know what's wrong with me because I can't stop crying. And he said, Maria, never dies. No one ever dies. I haven't cried since. Because I believe, Father, that no one ever dies. And so today, no one ever dies. Not Pulaski, not Kasia. She's here. I walked in and I saw the aprons with Kasia, and she'll be downstairs serving the pierogies. So I take from the Chicago Tribune's obituary. In lieu of flowers, donations on behalf of Kasia Bober to the Polish Museum of America, 84 North Milwaukee Avenue. I want to thank you, all of you, for holding me so close to your heart for the last 20 years. And I want you to remember that no one ever dies. And in Tasha's memory, I pledge a donation to this museum. And I say to you today, because of you and the people in this room who've come before you and your children and your great-grandchildren after you, the Polish Museum will never die. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria, for those very, very warm words. Thank you so much for visiting with us all the time. And thank you for your donation. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'd like to call now another official from the state of Illinois to speak with us this morning, Honorable Jesse White, the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I just heard Maria talk about Kasia. Well, Kasia was my caterer for about 20 years. And I will always remember her for her giving and caring spirit, for her commitment to making sure that we enjoyed a wonderful meal. I served as Secretary of State and held this position for the past 18 years. I also served in the military, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And when I see these gentlemen here who have served in the military, I stand a lot taller, I feel a lot better, and I want to all commit and thank you for your service to all of us. I'm back in the heat of battle because 2013 I was asked to commit myself to giving individuals who have come to our great state who were undocumented a driver's license so they can get from point A to point B in a safe, responsible manner. And so I committed myself to making sure that the federal government would not be a part of that equation because individuals were concerned about ICE coming in after subpoenaing our records so that they could be interrogated and eventually reported. I thought that we were just dealing with Hispanics. But at the press conference, I was amazed at the number of different ethnic groups that were there, all seeking a driver's license, yet at the same time did not want to be reported. So we would ask them to, number one, prove that you live in Illinois for a 1-year period of time. 2, that you have a automobile insurance, that you know the science, that you could pass the written test, pass the driving test. If you could do those things and more, then we would give you a driver's license that would be good for a 3-year period of time. Renewal every 3 years you get not having any infections. You can't use it to get on the airplane, to open the bank account, or be used for identification purposes only to be able to get from point A to point B. Many times, individuals who did not have a driver's license would get involved in an accident, and they would leave the car and then run. No longer does this have to happen. They would show their insurance card, their registration, and their license, and they're good to go. And so I may call upon you to help me with my battle because there is a movement afoot to subpoena my records and force me to divulge these 235 million that I have in my system. I'm here for another reason. Again, it's to honor a gentleman by the name of Pulaski. Gentleman from Poland who came to this great country to make a difference in the lives of all of us. He lost his life. He was promoted to brigadier general. Also established what is called Pulaski Legion, a wonderful fighting force. He lost his life in battle, and we honor his memory. I'm here to commend him, to thank him, and to applaud him for his many contributions not only to Poland, but this wonderful country of ours. And much of what we are today is as a result of him coming and passing our way. Thank you.
One of our newest friends in the Polish Museum was elevated last year to a state office, and we are thrilled that he once again is able to be in attendance in today's Pulaski Day celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, State Illinois Treasurer Michael Frederick.
Dzień dobry. Ja Michał Frederick. I wish I could address you in Polish, but będę mówił po polsku. It is a pleasure to be here for Kazimierz Pulaski. It is a time to remember this great general, but also to celebrate the contributions of Polish Americans to this country. I personally would not be here today but for Polish Americans. That's not just because of Barb Hoppel or Mike Sobczak who helped me physically get here today, but I first ran for office because of the support and advice and encouragement of Tadeusz Kikulinski, and it is important that I remember his support of me here today. I think I'd like to repeat some things that have been said, but I think that Councilor General Piotr Januski already said the important lessons to learn today. President Pulaski came to this country after fighting for freedom in his own homeland. At the Confederation of Bar, he and several other Polish nationals stood up and fought for their independence against Russian aggression. This is not just a lesson of history, but this is a lesson with practical applications today. After being expelled from Poland and traveling to France, where he met Ben Franklin, he was invited to this country. Several speakers here today told you that wouldn't be the case here today. And after he got here, what he found was he didn't speak English so well. So his subordinates weren't appreciative of that. They didn't appreciate him because he also brought new tactics and new ideas. They resigned his command. But that, I say, is what's made America great. People not just bringing their own language, their own culture here to this melting pot, but bringing different ideas, new ways of seeing things that really revolutionized our army and made us the country that we are. And when we seal ourselves off from other ideas, when we seal ourselves off from other strange people, we all suffer as Americans. So let us take this day where we talk about history, the contributions of a great person from our history, and make sure it's not just a time of remembrance, but today is a time of action. And we take those lessons from the past and apply them to make sure we have a great future going forward. Dzień dobry. Dziękuję.
Thank you. The Polish Museum of America, in order for us to continue the work that we do, requires many partners. Partners to support the work that happens here day to day. Our number one partner, who actually started the museum, is the Polish Roman Catholic Union, and we're truly grateful for all the support that they provide us. But beyond Polish Roman Catholic Union, there are many other partners that help the museum. And one such partner has been supporting the museum for several years, and we're truly honored and happy that they once again are supporting the museum. Our next speaker to introduce is the President of PMA Illinois, Mr. Scott Swanson. The PMA Bank is very pleased and honored to be able to participate in this wonderful celebration of the great hero, the General Kazimierz Pulaski. I'm personally honored to participate in that the Polish heritage is very important in my family, and that all of my mother's relatives immigrated from Poland to Chicago over 100 years ago. Wonderful to celebrate here today. At PNC, our goal is to be an important community partner that continues to add value for our Polish customers, and in fact, we've been serving the Polish community now for over a century. With hundreds of Polish-speaking employees, PNC offers in-language services now at nearly 40 branches throughout the Chicagoland area to ensure that we can be an effective partner in embracing opportunity. And we're proud of our long-standing partnership here in the community, including with organizations like the Polish Museum of America, which is so very important for our community. So today we do pledge our support to the museum's preservation efforts, the Polish culture and heritage for future Polish American generations here in Chicago, and again, I'm very appreciative to be able to celebrate with all of you today.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you so much for your continued support of the Polish Museum. A good friend of mine is one of the aldermen of the city of Chicago. Got to know him over the several years, and I know that he is a very good friend of the Polish Museum of America. I would like to ask Honorary Reboris to come to the microphone, please.
First of all, thank you for having me here today. Thank you for all the kind words. And as you know, the mayor's not here today. He's out of town, but he does send his regards. I also want to say thank you to some of my colleagues who are here today and joining us. Witamy. Mam zaszczyt być tutaj, aby uczcić bohatera zarówno w języku polskim i w języku amerykańskiej społeczności. Kazimierz Pulaski był to polski żołnierz, który jest znany za wykład w amerykańska niezależność. Zawsze jestem dumny być tutaj z Polonią, aby uhonorować szczególny dzień Kazimierza Pulaski. Boże, pobłogosław wszystkich tutaj i Polonię.
Thank you, Alderman. Your Polish is better every year. Our next guest is a very special guest who came in from Washington. I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Karol Stolczyk, Deputy Defense and Military Attaché for the Embassy of the Republic of Poland. Dear friends of Poland, I'd like to thank everyone, every single person for being here, for the time, and for honoring Brigadier General Pulaski. I'm a military, so I'll keep it short, I promise. First, Senator Durbin already sent a strong message about U.S. forces in Europe and great support for Poland. And from my perspective, it's as a Brigadier General Pulaski, what he did like over 200 years ago. And now we see U.S. forces coming to Poland. We just welcomed, like 3 months ago, Armored Brigade combating from Colorado. And I met their commander in November last year, Colonel Nori. It's a great guy, great people. And if somebody says that NATO is too old, it's great, I don't know. Maybe it's not. That's not true. We almost like 20 years in NATO, and that means we have a lot of friends. I just realized that I served in Afghanistan almost like 10 years ago, and I still keep in touch with my friends from the States. So we have to remember that we have Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, so nobody can, just take us apart. We'll stay friends forever, and I hope this will be. It's a very complex world right now. We're facing a lot of threats in Europe, in the Middle East, but we're standing together, we're staying united. As we help the United States in Afghanistan and Iraq like 10 years ago, now we see U.S. troops in Poland. I wanted to say thank you also for our veterans and men and women in uniform serving in our military, and Kazimierz Pulaski as a hero of both nations, give us really good example how we should do it. So thank you. I would like to ask you for a round of applause for our veterans.
I couldn't mention, I want to thank the great state of Illinois for supporting Poland, for supporting the Polish community. Hard to not to mention over 25 years of our friendship with Illinois National Guard, which is exceptional. We love them, and I hope they love us as well. And that's great. Thank you everyone for being here and for supporting, and hopefully see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you. As we move along this morning in acknowledging the feats of General Pulaski, I would now ask that the Honorable Timothy Evans, Chief Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, please address.
Good morning. I am thrilled to be here today to add my voice to those honoring this great memory. We know what the General did, not only to work for this country and to save George Washington and to risk his own life for our freedom. He established a cavalry that is still in place today, that we still honor, to help save this country and to make certain that we could enjoy freedom today. We won't let that stop us. What you may not know is that we have residents from this community who are Polish Americans who help save this country today. They protect the freedoms that we enjoy today. They are members of the Circuit Court of Cook County. They are members of the judiciary, and several of them are here with me today. I traveled to Poland with one of them, Ori Kuczynski. I would like to ask all of the judges who are here to please stand, and I'd like you to acknowledge them. They protect your rights using the Constitution, not a cavalry. And they stand for you today and forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Evans. I'd like to call on PMA board member Betty Wolność to give us a little presentation on a very unique program that was initiated by the Polish Museum of America, along with the Polish Saturday School System.
Witam Państwa serdecznie. Good morning. Today is a very important day for the Polish Museum. Not only because we celebrate Pulaski Day, but for the very first time, Polish language schools answer to museum appeal. Every student of the Polish school gave $1 to support, to preserve the past for the benefit of the future. And now I would like to introduce to you President of the Polish schools, for the Polish language schools, just to give you a little input. How many schools and how many students do we have? President of the Polish Teachers Association, Mrs. Ewa Koch.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Polish Teacher Association, which patronizes Polish schools around the Chicago metropolitan area, would like to transfer money collected by our students of our school to the Polish Museum of America. The symbolic gesture is our way to say thank you to the museum for its historical mission
which is honoring the cultural heritage of the Polish nation on American soil. Thank you very much for your outstanding job. We have a 50 Polish school, 17,000 Polish students, and 1,000 Polish teachers. It's a big group of people.
And now I would like to ask the directors of the few Polish schools to please come to the podium. We have some little bricks for your students as a gift from the museum. Please come. St. Mary, Margaret Mary Polish School. I see 2 students. Okay, now. Pulaski, General Pulaski Polish School. Felix Kanarski Polish School. Holy Trinity Polish Language School. Nicholas Copernicus Polish Language School. Academy of Polish Language and Culture. St. Albert Chmielowski Polish School. Modrzejewska Polish School. Henryk Sienkiewicz Polish School. St. Bates Polish Catholic School, and Kardynal Wyszyński Polish School. We have the little mix Polish students. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the students and Polish schools and parents for understanding the need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the museum is alive. Every day it's alive, but you should be here on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon when buses pull in from the Polish Saturday schools and you have 100, 200, sometimes 300 students coming into the Polish Museum. And the museum is truly alive with youth, and that's what we're preserving this museum for. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who has also become a very close friend of the Polish Museum of America. She is now the State Comptroller, Susanna Mendoza.
I asked him if he wanted to sit down, but he said no, he wanted to say hello. So, abierto el besito. No, but well, my name is Susanna Mendoza. I am the Illinois State Controller, the new one. I want to say thank you for your support, but most importantly, I wanted to say dzień dobry and gratuluję, not just to you, which of course is very important, but to all the Ariel Braboyas for that amazing Polish that he is speaking. Welcome. And while I cannot match him even remotely, I promise that now I have homework. And next time when I come before you next year, hopefully I'm going to give you a run for your money, Alderman. That is my goal. But again, I'm here just like everyone else to honor General Casimir Pulaski. This is my son, David Shostak. And my husband is right over there. David, if you could stand up, please, honey. And while I'm the daughter of Mexican immigrants, I was lucky enough to be born here in Chicago, and even more blessed to have married into a wonderful Roman Catholic Polish family. There you go. And so my husband, David Sostak, and I thankfully were able to be blessed with this little boy, David Sostak. So, dziękuję kochani. And I look forward to coming back many times every year that I get invited and in between, because I do value the Polish community as my family as well, which you are. And I want to say thank you and God bless you all. Happy Pulaski Day. Happy Pulaski Day.
Our next speaker comes from a family who have participated and involved in Bologna for over 100 years. Her grandmother was a driving force in the early part of the 20th century, into the mid-20th century. Her father was a congressman and alderman who introduced much legislation, and also was very active in the Polish community as president of the Illinois Division of the Polish American Congress, as well as heading up the All-Chicago Committee for the 1000th anniversary of Poland's Christianity. Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Aurelia Kuczynski.
Thank you, Rich, and good morning, everyone. Just as a personal note, I was reminded that most of you probably do not know that although my father was a congressman and alderman involved in Bologna, like Casimir Pulaski, he was also in the Illinois Cavalry in 1939 when Russia invaded Poland, or Germany invaded Poland. My father, like many young men in his generation, joined the Illinois National Guard, which at that time was a cavalry. And he was in the Black Horse Troop. I have pictures of him in his joggers, I have his stirrup, and he told wonderful stories about that, including the fact that when they mechanized, he said, oh no, if I'm going to get killed, it's not going to be on a motorcycle, it's going to be on an airplane. And that's when he joined the Air Force. We gather each year to honor Casimir Pulaski, to celebrate the way he lived, and to respect the way he died. Before he even got here, he had fiercely fought the Russians and the Prussians trying to take over Poland. When Pulaski adopted America and decided to fight for our freedom, there was no guarantee the revolution was going to work. The Continental Army was broke most of the time, and he had to beg for supplies. He had to spend his own money. Yet the Pulaski Brigade was recognized by many as an effective part of the general plan. And when I say Pulaski had to beg for supplies, I mean he had to beg. Letters between Pulaski and Washington and other officers are full of requests for supplies, for food, for sleeping quarters, for horses, for armaments, and for rum for his soldiers. He was, in fact, waging two wars. We can understand this, and the military man understands this. One with the enemy, and one with the budget office. His letters to Washington show him to be a man of clear thinking and great determination. Plus, he was stubborn, proud, and a little reckless. The Continental Army was so impressed with Pulaski that it suggested a monument in his honor, and he is only one of 8 foreign citizens made an honorary U.S. citizen. But what really makes us admire Pulaski is his fierce commitment to freedom and independence. And this heritage we all share. Poles throughout history have had the same fierce commitment to freedom and independence. During all of those years when Poland wasn't even on the map, through all the Nazi occupation and the decimation of Poland's people and cities, through the horrors of communism, Poles have always clung to the visceral knowledge that Poland will never die and that freedom and independence are the God-given rights of all men and all women. Pulaski did not have to take up the fight for independence in America, but he was a soldier and he knew how to fight. His tradition of excellent soldiering has been carried forward by generations of young men and women, even as I speak, in uniform who are defending this nation. Now we honor Pulaski today with a special ceremony, but we can do more. Let us honor him every day by our own commitment to making the choice to be active for our ideals, to stand up for human dignity for every person, no matter their background, and to never, ever let anyone marginalize us. Pulaski made a tough choice. He had to fight on horseback with sabers and unreliable guns. Our choice is easier, to be engaged not only in Bologna, but to be active and part of our community at large. Fight for what is right, stand up for our beliefs, and engage in the healthy, courteous dialogue that was the cornerstone of the Continental Congress and must remain the cornerstone of our nation today. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce the next guest, I would like to extend an invitation to our state controller, Susanna Mendoza, to come to the Polish language school for adults. We are having those lessons every Tuesday evening, and by the grace of the Polish Teachers Association, we have Mrs. Shizhina, who does a wonderful job. So you can join my wife and I as we get through in this Polish. I would like now to invite another member of the Polish Museum of America and a great friend of the Polish community to address our audience this morning. I would like to ask the Honorable Dorothy Brown to come and grace us with some words.
Dzień dobry. Good morning. It is an honor to be here at the Polish Museum of America for the celebration of Casimir Pulaski Day in Illinois. I thank Mr. Drobot, Chair of the Polish Museum of America, and Mr. Oshani, President of the Polish Museum of America, for hosting this wonderful event. Also, I wish to recognize all of the elected officials, especially Chief Judge, Honorable Chief Judge Evans, and all of the judges here. I also would like to recognize Mr. Frank Spula, the President of the Polish American Congress and the Polish National Alliance of America, of North America. I'm also honored that Mr. Richard Adis, a member of my senior executive staff, and Mrs. Marion Samuel, both proud Polish Americans, and we have many Polish Americans working at the office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court. I'm honored to have this opportunity to take part in the ceremony honoring Brigadier General Kazimierz Pulaski, an experienced military leader from Poland who valiantly offered his services and support of our country in the American Revolution. General Pulaski paid the ultimate price for freedom, giving his life as a result of the Battle of Savannah in 1779. We honor Pulaski because his determination and courageousness represent the universal ideal of passionate resistance to oppression. Pulaski, the father of the American cavalry, is known for composing the motto, "For your freedom and ours," a powerful mantra that echoes the American Declaration and our Pledge of Allegiance, where we say, "With liberty and justice for all." As an American citizen who is grateful to experience and live in a free society, as I know all of you are, I'm honored to pay tribute to Pulaski today. And it is with great pleasure that I join the Polish Museum of America, other Illinois elected officials, members of the Polish American community, and the community at large in this commemoration of the life and legacy of a legendary and heroic son of Poland. Dziękuję. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is a state representative from the 4th District, Honorable Robert Markwick.
Good morning. I have good news. I am the last speaker. It really is an honor to be here in a place that feels so much like home. For me, my family has a long history of involvement in Polonia. And so just a few brief words before we get on to what really we're here about, the wreath laying and the benediction, truly the honor of General Pulaski. You know, heroes of both nations, such as General Pulaski and General Kosciuszko, dedicated their lives, even sacrificed them to speak up for uncomfortable truths when we as society fell short of the goodness we should aspire to. These great men did not shy away from controversy. In the case of General Kosciuszko, he so strongly condemned the evils of slavery that he explicitly stipulated in his will that all the proceeds from the sale of his American estate be spent freeing and educating African Americans. That was something that he commanded, but the executor of the estate, Thomas Jefferson, never fulfilled it. But it's this courage that instilled such passion in the Poles who settled in America, like my grandparents, to pridefully share their stories with their children, and just as importantly, their neighbors. This year, my wife and I had the privilege of welcoming the big boy into our family, and I can assure you, our little Polish prince will certainly be learning about Pulaski and Kosciuszko from his parents, just like I did from mine. Boże błogosław was, Boże błogosław Pulaskiego, i niech Bóg błogosławi przyjaźnie Polski i Ameryki. Dziękuję.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the point of the program where we honor Kazimierz Pulaski with the laying of the wreath beside the Pulaski painting behind the wanted to mention on Friday, I received a letter from Anna Chikowska on behalf of the Sejm of the Republic of Poland. Representative Chikowska in her letter acknowledges the heroic contributions of Kazimierz Pulaski to the cause of American freedom by making the ultimate sacrifice. I'd like to call upon right now Father Andrzej Kowski, pastor of Holy Trinity, for the benediction.
As we conclude this great celebration, let us ask God for His blessing. Ojcze nasz,
święć się imię Twoje, przyjdź królestwo Twoje, bądź wola Twoja, jako w niebie, tak i na ziemi. Chleba naszego powszedniego daj nam dzisiaj i odpuść nam nasze winy, jako i my odpuszczamy naszym winowajcom. Nie weź nas na pokuszenie, ale nas zbaw złego.
the Lord be with you. May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Szczęść Boże. And to conclude our program, I'd like to call on Mr. Joseph Drobot to sing God Bless America.
Please join in the singing of God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with hope. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program. Thank you very much for coming to the 2017 Pulaski Day celebration. We invite all our guests to the first floor social hall for some refreshments. Dziękujemy bardzo wszystkim.